Alex was talking about Borough had the tendency to throw games away. I wish he could have done that on Saturday, mate.
It's the hot topic at Peterborough right now. It's very split. Clubs, it comes to a stage where you need fresh ideas, you need fresh voices, not just management and players, but also owners.
The biggest story for all of us last year was actually buying back the ground, because that really felt like it righted that wrong and it's ended that chapter.
So you shouldn't have given Matt the best opportunity ever to give us a bit of Steve Evans propaganda. He's going to take that opportunity full on now. Come on there, Matt.
I will. I'm on dreamland. Honestly, it's been ridiculous.
Play him. When I used to don't make him train, just literally iced the guy up until the next game to try and keep him fit. He went off
like a sort of David Blaine type stunt where he just kind of like making him stay in an ice cube. All right, though, stay in there, Cole.
Yeah, look, he's done an incredible job, and I just fully believe that we can be up there at the end of the season.
Hello there, everybody. Welcome along to the 1-2 show. We're pre-recording this for FansBet. Delighted to be joined by Jordan from Under the Abbey Stand podcast. Thanks for coming on, Jordan. Good to meet you.
Yeah, good evening, Gabs. Thank you very much for having me on. Not sure why it's taking you so long to have us on after our predictions last season, but yeah, good to see you.
Yeah, well, I think it's Alex Jones had been so good. I'd kind of like, but now he's Millwall. I might have to weigh up my options a bit more.
Branch out a little.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, try experiment a bit. So I'm also joined by Alex Batt as well, Peterborough United fan as well. Great to have you on as well, Alex.
Thank you, mate. Thank you for asking me on. It's a pleasure, and I'm looking forward to chatting some football.
Yeah, absolutely. Me too. It was a 1-0 victory for your side at the weekend. I suppose the first question would be around the derby generally, Alex, because possibly older generations of supporters might have seen this as a rivalry. But how did the club collectively approach this one?
Yeah, it's an interesting really, because all week building up to the rivalry and to the game, there was people saying, which one's bigger, Northampton, Cambridge, which ones do we hate? Some people even say MK Dons. I think it all does depend on the age. And I mean, to be fair, I'm 30 years old and I've never been to a posh Cambridge League game until this weekend. So it's been a long time since I've had the pleasure of this one game, a pleasure of this game. So for me, we've played Northampton a couple more times in my lifetime, but I'd still say Cambridge. It feels different. It felt very different. A bit leading up to the game, and it felt very different being at the ground and being around the ground, and just there feels a bit more not hatred. I don't want to say hatred. Obviously, some fans hate each other. Of course, that's how it goes. But it just felt like it felt a lot bigger. The club were doing more promotional work. There was just a different feel around the club that we don't have with Northampton. And so, yeah, the whole week felt a little bit different and something that I hadn't really experienced before, because I think the last time they played in the league was 2000, 2001, and I was only like 9 then and not really that into football at that stage, or just starting to go, so maybe not picking it up too familiarly. But yeah, I think it felt really big this week, and the game itself felt big as well, being in the crowd, and the atmosphere was great. And so, yeah, I still think Cambridge is the big rivalry for Posh, no matter how long it's been since we played them.
Yeah, absolutely. How is it from your perspective, Jordan?
It's nice to hear that Alex reckons it's still a rivalry that's good. I saw other people saying similar things about, it's more of an issue with Northampton and MK Dons. So it's nice to hear that, yeah, there are some people talking sense, your true county rivals. I guess it must be, I guess it's just like a really different sort of take on it compared to Alex, because you look at, I think it's 21 years since we played each other in the league. And if you look at those 21 years, Borough's trajectory has gone up and, been in a championship a few times. And I think they could have perhaps looked at the game on Saturday and maybe sort of sighed a little bit and gone, God, we're back in the league with this lot. But for Cambridge, on the other hand, obviously those 21 years have been the complete opposite.
We're back in the league with this lot.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's been a tough road, 9 years in the conference and, being a pretty much like a bottom six League Two team for numerous seasons, even when we got back, and then bizarrely some young coach got the job and it's turned us into a League One team. So yeah, I think it meant a lot to everyone on both sides yesterday. But for Cambridge, maybe that had that extra edge because we've got the slightly tougher backstory since we've last played each other, and I think we'll be, maybe we can like rest on our laurels for this season. But if we were to play each other again over the next possible future seasons, I think people would be looking to get over that narrative of being separate for such a long time. But I'm sure Borough will be looking to get themselves into a different division from us as quick as they can.
Yeah, absolutely. How do you feel the promotion push is going for your lot so far, Alex? Because it looks like Harrison Burrows is starting to come into some form, and so is Ephraim Mason-Clark.
Yeah, I mean, we finally got Harrison Burrows out of playing left back, which is fantastic because he's never a left back, which every fan would have told you for many months now. He looks unbelievable in the centre of park, having a bit more freedom, doing what he wants to do. He's showing why the club highly rate him. It was frustrating to have to watch him play left wing back and left back when you just know that's not his strengths, and so yeah, it's refreshing to see him in the centre of the park now. And like you say, Mason-Clark's finally showing as well why we signed him. He should have had a hat-trick on Saturday, to be honest. Yesterday he had 3 1-on-1s. He's missed the target on 2 of them, and he's forced the keeper to make a save on the other. But he scored an absolute wonder goal against Accrington in midweek. And him and Poku, either side of Johnson Clark Harris, are really starting to gel and look real dangerous again. And that's what Posh are known for. We've had the Marcus Madisons, we've had the Dembélés, we have these really creative footballers who get you off your seat. And, every time they get the ball, you think something's about to happen. And we've kind of slowly getting that back with these two on the wing. In terms of the promotion push, the thing with Posh is I never see us being consistent. I always feel like there's a bad result coming. We blow away teams, we can fight out wins, but then we just throw away stupid games.
Like a draw against Burton, for example.
Draw against Burton, losing away to Wickham and playing abysmally. Portsmouth away, we should have at least come away with a point. Bolton away, Derby away, we threw it away last minute. Games like this, and I think in all of the EFL leagues, if you can win 5-6 games on the trot, like Plymouth did, that sort of thing earlier on in the season, you give yourself such a cushion and you push yourself further up the league. And that's what I just don't ever feel confident with Posh. I don't think we're ever going to win 4, 5, 6, 7 games on the bounce. But having said that, we've got Johnson Clark Harris who scores goals, and that's the hardest part of football, as they say, scoring the goals. And if you've got him, you've always got a chance. So I fully believe we'll be in the playoff mix. I don't think we'll be automatics. I think the league is too tough for that. I think there's bigger teams and better teams than us, sadly, to go up automatically. But we've got to at least be in the playoffs. Otherwise, it's a disappointing season.
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of the promotion race, Jordan, obviously Cambridge in a slightly different bracket for now. But of the teams that you've faced, who's impressed you the most, and who do you think Peterborough will have to kind of overcome in order to win promotion?
Alex was talking about Borough had the tendency to throw games away. I wish he could have done that on Saturday, mate. To be fair, I thought Borough on Saturday looked decent enough, but a little bit, I don't know, flimsier than I was expecting. And I think maybe their front 4 or 5 had an off day. I could definitely see them being playoff contenders. I think I agree with Alex that there's maybe not quite enough there to be an automatic sort of contender. Of the teams that are currently sat in the top 2, we've only played one of them, and that was Ipswich, and they were a different mustard when we played them a couple of weeks ago. We tried to deploy the same game plan that we did last season against them, which saw us pick up a 1-0 win. This year they beat us 3-0. So I think they've invested well. They've got a really good squad. They've still got people coming back from injury. So I think of who I've seen in sort of the top 6 or 8, I would say that, the Ipswich so far are sort of a cut above. And, we've played quite a few of them. We played Borough, we played Sheffield Wednesday, Derby. We've also played Portsmouth. So we've seen quite a few. So, yeah, I would say Borough in that pack, definitely. But so far, the best team I've seen this season was Ipswich.
Yeah,
I'm glad it was a team from East Anglia that wears blue that aren't Borough.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Alex, it's coming to the end of Darragh MacAnthony's reign at the end of the season. I think he wants to. Well, this is the thing. I think he wants to finish on a promotion, so it may be that he stays on for another year. Where do you think the club is on an ownership perspective, and do you see it that the Posh could do with some fresh eyes, fresh voice at boardroom level, or are you very happy to support Darragh MacAnthony with the work that he's doing?
It's the hot topic at Peterborough right now. It's very split. Like I was saying to you beforehand, it's very split at the minute. It feels like you've got a lot of fans that are very thankful. I mean, we're all thankful for Darragh MacAnthony. At some stage, obviously, he's given me the best Peterborough years of my life. You know, promotions, cup finals at Wembley, and just. It's been an unbelievable sort of spell and tenure under the Darragh MacAnthony stewardship. But like you say, clubs, it comes to a stage where you need fresh ideas, you need fresh voices, not just management and players, but also owners. And, you know, he's got the 2 new partners over that have helped him out, and they're looking at the stadium and getting the new stadium sorted and things like that. Darragh MacAnthony, you know, listen, he said he's going to leave a few times before. Let's put that out there. He's said it a few times. He wants to end on a promotion. I don't think we will get promoted this year, personally, unless we go on a really good, strong run, and then, you know, playoffs. We're pretty good in the playoffs, to be fair. So maybe that's the route we'll take. But like we've said, there's a lot of strong teams in this division that look just a bit better than us at the minute. Obviously, there's a long way still to go, but I think with Darragh, he said he wants to spend time with his family, which obviously you can't take that away from him. You know, he's been in this job for many years now, and, you know, he's probably missed a lot of things with his children growing up. And if he wants to spend time with them, then we can, you know, so be it. That's his decision, and that's absolutely his right. What happens after that, I have no idea. You know, they always say the grass isn't always greener. You don't know who's going to come in. You don't know what sort of character is going to come in, what money they're going to bring in. You've just got no idea. It's the absolute unknown. And where, you know, there's a lot of people that don't want Darragh MacAnthony here at the club at the minute, but come a year later after he's gone and someone else has come in, they could be saying, well, it's not as good anymore, or nothing's changed. You know, you just don't know in football, and that's sometimes the risk. That's the risk you take. What will happen, I don't know. It seems like he seems pretty legit this time around, but like you say, he said he wants to end on a promotion, and if they don't get promoted this year, will he stay for another year? But how long can you keep pushing that back if the promotion never happens? You know, we were stuck in League One for nearly a decade last time around. So it's a tough league to get out of, and nothing's guaranteed in football, no matter how much money you spend or what players you've got or what reputation you've got. You know, it's not an easy league to get out of, as we know. So it's a lot of uncertainty, and it'll be an interesting summer next summer, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Jordan, how do you look at the Darragh MacAnthony regime? I'm sure he's someone you're familiar with from afar. Do you look at it from a side with almost an element of envy, as some people do, at having someone that is so outspoken, or are you sort of do you prefer owners that are maybe a little bit more private about how they go about things?
What level was he at when you joined? Was it League One?
League 2, I think.
Was it League 2? Yeah. So I think any fan of a League 2 club would love it if someone rocked up and was willing to spend money on it and had dreams of getting you up to you know, the higher divisions and the Championship and so forth. So there's obviously a bit of envy. I won't touch on the character himself and you know, and how perhaps he might have come across that money and things like that. But I think one of the big things from sort of the regime, and I don't know how much he was involved in this, but one of the big things from a distance that we've always been impressed with is the ability over the last decade or so for Borough to sort of spot talent from lower divisions and then sell them on and cash in. And that's one of the, I think that's probably the biggest thing that sort of Cambridge have looked at over the last few years and been like, oh, that we would have enjoyed a bit of that. But it'd be interesting to see if he does stick to his word and actually walk away at the end of the season. Like Alex said, I'm pretty sure he's flirted with this idea before, maybe sometimes a bit more dramatic and toys thrown out of the pram and stuff like that. But am I right in thinking that he's talking about sort of investing in another club? And I heard like AFC Wimbledon mentioned and things like that.
Yeah, he's mentioned a lot about Wimbledon on his podcast and saying he'd love to get involved. I think it was a general like fan question saying, "Would you get involved in Wimbledon?" And he said he wouldn't mind getting involved in a club like Wimbledon. Yeah, I think if he does go, he'll go for a couple of years, but he'll 100% be back in football. You know, he's a football man. He loves football, so I don't think he'll stay away for long if he does go.
Yeah, I think that's the other thing I get the impression about Darragh MacAnthony is just that he just wants to throw himself into anything that he takes on, and he always wants to have things sort of on the go, and so yeah, I think for the moment, I think probably on a personal level, he may want to take a bit of time with the family, but I'd expect him to be back in football for sure. Coming to Cambridge United then, Jordan, you've had some great news off the field yourselves in the purchase of the Abbey. Does this club does this give you a sense of identity as a football club and a sense of pride in your home at this really exciting stage of your trajectory?
Yeah, absolutely. And it ties in a little bit with what I was sort of saying at the start of the call about the differences for the clubs over the last 2 decades, where Borough have had someone come along and say, yes, I want to build a project here and I want to invest money. We, over the last 2 decades, have had questionable decisions at boardroom level, directors involved in the club that perhaps didn't, well, don't know perhaps about it, that didn't have the interests of the club at heart, that were looking to sort of make money from it. And, you know, one of those things was losing the ownership of the Abbey and, you know, our home for, you know, nearly 100 years. It was a big blow. And actually the story last season, you know, numerous sort of narratives for our season last year, the FA Cup run, beating Newcastle, the fact that we stayed up and, you know, wins against big teams like, you know, Ipswich and Wigan. The biggest story for all of us last year was actually buying back the ground, because that really felt like it righted that wrong and it's ended that chapter. And there's kind of a, you know, it puts it back in our hands whether we want to, you know, cash in on the land itself and move somewhere else. I don't think that will happen. The owner, Paul Barry, is a lifelong United fan. He was on the board, but wasn't owner when the ground was sold, and he lives in the States. And word that I've understood is that he felt really sort of guilty that decision happened. You know, it happened on his watch, and it was something that he wasn't able to stop. And I think that's sort of eaten away at him for a good number of years. So he's now sort of written that wrong, and we can move forward together, hopefully redevelop it. If you've been to the Abbey recently, but she's got character. That's a nice way of putting it. But just what sort of final point on that, it's kind of sort of a sense of sort of, legacy around it for me. Like, I became a father for the first time in the summer, and
congratulations.
Thank you very much. His middle name is Wesley. I'll let you figure out where that came from. But, there's something about being able to say that, you know, in the future I will walk with my son to the ground and watch Cambridge United play at our stadium, and it means a lot. So yeah, you're absolutely right. It ties into that good times that we're feeling at the moment, the trajectory back up to, you know, where we feel we should be, which is in the 3rd division here.
Yeah, absolutely. Alex, what do you make of the work that Mark Bonner has done at Cambridge United? Because they won promotion in his first full season as manager, and then they achieved their highest finish in about 20 years. So that was a huge couple of achievements there.
Yeah, he's done brilliantly. You know, for like I say, the size of the club, it's not a massive club by all means, and that's not a dig or anything. That's just how. Neither is Peterborough. You know, we're not massive clubs, and we don't have big fan bases. We don't have the luxury of having, you know, a lot of money pumping into the club every season. You know, the attendances aren't massive. The stadiums have seen better days. We're very similar in terms of that. I know Posh have been at a different level for a long time. You know, pretty much nearly all my life. They've not been anywhere near each other. But to see what Cambridge are doing recently, and it's good for you know, the area. I want to see Posh play Cambridge. You know, maybe not every season, but I want to have these derbies. You know, Saturday was great. The week building up to it was great, and it's just good for the club to have that rivalry, that fierce rivalry, and to see obviously Cambridge that have done so well in recent years to get, to League One is fantastic. And I don't think they'll be anywhere near the bottom come the end of the season. I think they'll stay in the league quite comfortably. And we could be looking at another couple of tasty derbies next season as well. But I think a lot of credit has to go to Mark and to the players and to the club as a whole to get into a league where there's some massive fish, and they're not just surviving. They're competing well. They're playing good football against some big teams, and they're getting some impressive results. Obviously, recently it's been a bit of a slog, and the form has turned around, but not too long ago, they were above Peterborough, and that we were close in the league, and it was a bit like, I know my dad was saying, Cambridge have won again, and he was getting a bit worried that, maybe they're coming and they're going to topple us off our perch sort of thing. But they've done a fantastic job, and I think, there is the rivalry there, and it's sort of that sort of stuff side of it, but I think it's only a good thing for the area that the two teams are competing and in a good level of football, where obviously Cambridge haven't been for a while, but now they're there. And I do personally hope that they stay there and they cement their place and become a regular League One team, and maybe, further on that in the future.
Yeah, let's hope that's the case. Jordan, are you pretty confident that you'll take off the 50 points that you need?
I think with Bonner in charge, and to be honest, I'm very surprised he's still here. I don't know. I'm guessing you probably covered the Rotherham story yourself, Gab, but I think we're all shocked that he didn't move. It felt like a club that backs their manager at a high level, and it felt like a done deal. So with him still in charge, it feels like he is the linchpin. I think he is why a group of sort of average sort of League Two players are punching above their weight, and why we are up in this division, and why we are, we stayed up last year without spending any time in the bottom four or even sort of thinking about a relegation scrap. I think this year was always going to be tougher. I think maybe we missed a trick with recruitment in summer. I think they struggled with recruitment in summer, from sort of my reading of stories coming out of the club. And perhaps this year is more akin to what we should expect, and that is being in that sort of, mini league of sort of bottom, anywhere between 6 and 9 clubs. With Bonner in charge, he seems to be able to instill this resilience into the group of players. We saw that this week where, admittedly we lost on Saturday to Peterborough, but we gave a very good account of ourselves. And a few nights before that, we went to Wickham off the back of 4, 5, 6 defeats and pulled out a victory there at a team that we never win at. So yeah, I'm feeling confident that we will be competitive. It feels like that is the bare minimum that he gets out of the players. I do think it will be a tough rest of the season, and I do think we will probably finish probably no higher than where we are. If I'm honest, I don't think we'll emulate it. I think it was 14th last season or go higher, but I think that is an achievement in itself. I know some Cambridge fans will listen to that and say that's pessimistic and we should be looking to build on what we did last year. But the reality is we're a small club in this division with a small budget, and until we can start to sort of recoup on being in this level, I think it will be a struggle for a few years. But there are examples of teams that have survived and thrived in this division being a similar size to us, and hopefully we can make ourselves one of them as well.
Yeah, well, let's hope that's the case. Listen, thanks so much, folks, for joining me on the 1-2 show. Go check out Jordan's stuff at Under the Abbey Pod, and follow Alex Bat, the Posh Fan, on Twitter. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you in a moment for League Two. Well, hello there, everybody. Welcome along to the 1-2 show, where we're talking about all things League One and League Two. This afternoon, we're joined by 2 League Two fans, Matt Farley from the Stevenage podcast. Great to have you on, Matt. How are you?
Yeah, look, Gabe, thanks for having me on again. I always love coming on these, buddy. It's an absolute pleasure. It's nice to come here and talk everything Stevenage, especially with us doing well. Look, buddy, thanks for having me on again. It's an absolute pleasure, mate.
Yeah, I can't wait to get into it, mate. And we're also joined by Si, who's a Colchester United fan.
Yeah, Yeah, for my sins at the moment, how the season's going. But hey, strongest team in the league, propping up the whole football league.
Absolutely. Well, let's kind of get into that side, because it's not been exactly the start that Matt Bloomfield would have wanted to his managerial career, but it was a draw against one of the top sides in the division in Stevenage. Do you see that as a positive afternoon, even though you didn't quite get the result you're hoping for?
So after the game against Crawley on Tuesday, I'd have taken the point. I'd have bit someone's hand off for a point. However, watching the game, and especially how we conceded their goal in the second half, I'll be throwing the kitchen sink at them. I thought the game was actually a disappointing end. With a point, we could have got the win, and maybe tactically we weren't quite as astute as we could have been. Only making the subs, 3 main subs, and then 1 time wasting sub at the end was probably wasted. I think we should have made all 5 earlier in the game. We could have got Chilvers, Laval on the bench who can run at players. I think that'd been what Stevenage would been wide open if we'd have done that. And so, yeah, I'll take the point, but yeah, it doesn't bode well, I'm afraid, sadly.
What did you make of Colchester's performance, Matt? I mean, I'm kind of assumed that you were there because you seem to be at all the Stevenage games, so I feel like that's a safe bet.
Yeah, look, Gab, you know me. I don't miss a game, buddy. I'm there every single game.
Like a pre-season friendly in, like, I don't know, the other side of the world, didn't you?
But do you know what? There's this running joke. I can't remember who I was speaking to this about. It was a couple of weeks ago, and someone was saying, "You're like at all the games." I'm like, "I don't miss a single Stevenage game, and there every week." And I made a joke saying, if Stevenage, look, this is hypothetical, it's never going to happen, but if Stevenage found themselves playing on the island of Bora Bora, I would find a way to be there. Do you know what I mean? It would. If it took me over land, I would find a way.
You'd be on the rocket to another planet, wouldn't you?
I don't know how. Stevenage playing on Mars.
Yeah,
but Barbara playing on Mars, I'd be on the plane. Like there'd be somehow I'd get there. No one knows how. Yeah, just Stevenage colours on. Come on, the boys. You know what I mean? It was I thought it was a really good game yesterday, actually. And I think from our kind of a point of view, we were a little bit disappointed with a lot of aspects to our performance. But it's a point that I was happy with it. I know a lot of our fans weren't particularly happy with it. I was happy with it. You can't win them all, take a draw. I thought Colchester were very good, actually, for a team that's, I mean, look, we've been in Colchester's position for like 4 years. So, I was chatting to a few fans on the way back to the car yesterday, and I was saying, I know how it feels. We've been in that position for 4 years now.
Very well.
So, yeah, do you know what I mean? So we know how it feels more than most. So I thought they did really well, gave us a good game, and I thought it was really competitive yesterday.
Yeah, for sure. Simon, just in terms of your bottom of the league at the moment, how does Matt Bloomfield put together a template to climb out of this table? Because as much as there are a lot of problems at the club, which are well documented, we've only got 15, 20 minutes, so I can't go into all of them. But it does feel like there's a decent crop of players who should, on paper, be good enough to try and sort of claw your way out. Do you think Matt Bloomfield has confidence in what he has at his disposal?
I think he does. He's come across in his interviews very positive with what he's got, and he's trying to build something here. I think the only drama we've got is you can see for every game what he's trying to build, how we're trying to play, which if we were mid-table would be brilliant because you see the progress coming forward. We're playing better each game, blah, blah. But where we are, this stage of the season, yes, everyone keeps saying it's early days, but these early days suddenly run out before we know where we are. It's Christmas, moving to Easter. So I think what we almost need to do is just find a way to win, and then once we're a bit more settled, he can then go back to sort of building what he's trying to build. Our main drama, we keep insisting on playing 1 up top, which doesn't work. If Freddie chasing lost balls or new ball weren't there on his own, we should be playing 2 up top. I feel at times the subs are there to be made, but we're not maybe making them at the right times. So there's little things, little tweaks that don't sound very much, or what's costing us. Instead of getting 3 points, we're getting 1 point. Things like that. When he first came in, there's a massive boost around the club. Everyone was more positive, everyone was more cheerful. We're going places, and then suddenly it seems sort of like, I don't know, maybe we rode the wave and it's come crashing down, and we're back to sort of where we are. Even like yesterday, when we scored, there was that inevitability of Stevenage going to equalise. Then Stevenage equalised. There's almost that inevitability of, oh god, now they're going to go on and win the game. Luckily, obviously for us, they didn't. And
do you think that's a mentality thing? Just to jump in there, Si, do you think that because of over the last 3 years since the playoff season, there has been such a big drop off that expectations have been lowered so much, and whenever an opposing team equalises, there is that nagging feeling of, oh God, here we go again type thing?
I think there is a sense of that, and even like little things like, we get last minute equalisers against teams. Oh, brilliant! It's the last minute equaliser. Like, hang on, this is how far we've kind of come from going, almost getting promoted by the playoffs to celebrating an equaliser against like Hartlepool or something. So there is an expectation around the club. I think the problem is we wanted an external manager. We've got one, but maybe one that didn't have the experience that everyone was hoping for. It's his first job, and I hope it works out for him because he's a nice guy. He's trying to connect the fans again, but it's a big gamble. And is it really the right time to be sort of playing with different styles and a new manager, etc., when what we need is someone can get us out of the division? Well, we need someone that can get us out of the relegation zone to start with. But it's a bit like Steve Evans. I think he's one of these managers that when he's at anyone else's club, you can't stand him. But when he's at your club, the way he buys into the club and everything, everyone loves him. Do you know what I mean? So time will tell. I think realistically, we've got until mid-December to put ourselves out of this, right? If we don't, when it comes New Year, we're still within the bottom 3 or 4. I think we may actually drop.
Si, you shouldn't have given Matt the best opportunity ever to give us a bit of Steve Evans propaganda. He's going to take that opportunity full on now. Come on there, Matt.
I will.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. What a job he's done.
Yeah, I mean it's incredible at the minute. It's I remember we did one of these, Gab, at the start of the season, and I think coming into this season, it was, again, because we've been a bottom 4 club for 4 or 5 years, it was, with the players that we brought in, we thought, potentially we could be up there, but, pre-season's a lot different to League 2 football. So, we just didn't know how we get on. And even the first 2 months, I think a lot of people probably thought, if I'm completely honest, and I think our own fans thought, to be honest, that, eventually we'd start to drop down the table, but it hasn't happened, and we're sitting here after 17 games in the halfway in, second with 36 points. I'm on dreamland, honestly. It's been ridiculous. Even me, I've been sitting around after these games thinking, are we going to be there by Christmas, or are we going to? And we're still there. He's done an incredible job, and we've said for years at Stevenage we haven't had a proper Football League manager, and we knew as a club that when we get one, we'd probably be doing the things that we're doing now, because everything at the club's been in place with the stadium, with all the sponsorship, with everything. So, he's done an incredible job. I think the important things that he's done is he's kept a relatively small squad. So I think one of the major things that he's done with this group is he's kind of made every player feel a part of the group. It's almost like every player has a role. And some of the things that we've done wrong over the last 4 years is if you have a really big squad, you've got so many players to make feel a part of the group, and sometimes you can lose a lot of players. So what he's done really well is he's got about a 21 man squad. Every player's good enough to play, start and win. So it's like at Colchester yesterday, if we turned up and played Chapman in goal and Dean Campbell, everyone would go, well, we still expect to win. It's not a case of, do you know what I mean? So he's done that brilliantly. He's made sure the home form's exceptional. We've pretty much won every single game at home. I think we've lost just one, which is an incredible stat. And on the road as well, we've got 4 wins and 3 draws. So, look, it's been incredible. He's done an amazing job. He's got an identity of football, which is abundant in every game that we play. And we seem to be on a bit of a crest of the wave. We haven't actually played that well the last 4 games, but we're still picking up points. So, look, he's done an incredible job, and I just fully believe that we can be up there at the end of the season.
Yeah, let's hope that's the case. I'd probably worry a little bit that like more games like the one at Doncaster, where you probably were a little bit fortunate, you'll probably want to up the levels a little bit from the last couple of games, but certainly results wise, it's been fantastic, and I'm sure you'll get back to that level of performance. Si, it's interesting hearing Matt there talk about the fact that Stevenage have got a core of 20, 21 players that you wouldn't mind starting. I think Colchester's model is probably a little bit more centred around youth development, and we've seen one or two like Marshall Miranda come into the side this season. Do you feel they can make an impact in your bid to retain your EFL status?
I think he will do. Both him and Junior Chamadou was another one. He was missing yesterday due to he got booked on Tuesday, so that was his 5th booking, so he missed the game yesterday through suspension. What I think we have done in a really weird way, we sent a lot of decent youngsters out on loan to other clubs, obviously around the non-league scene, which I understand give them men's football and things like that, but it leaves us short when we get injuries. We've got 2 quite bad hamstring injuries. The club captain Tommy Smith's only just come back to grass training, and Mike Hughes has just come back to grass training, and then obviously Junior's missing yesterday. We played Tom Eastman, a good centre back, at right back, whereas we sent another right back, Cameron Cox, out on loan. And so when we played Gillingham in the FAL Trophy, we played Ashley, a right back, who's actually a midfielder. So at times it seems a bit, we've got the players, we've got the squad, but that maybe they're sending the wrong ones out and keeping the wrong ones, so on and so forth. But I think our key to our survival will be keeping Carl Scouse fit. I know you know I'm a massive fan of his.
I know, yeah.
All the other chats we've had about him, but yeah, when he goes off, especially against Crawley on Tuesday night, you can see the change in how the game is played, and our midfield is a lot more open when he's missing. So it literally should be we play him, put him on ice, play him, put him on ice. Just don't make him train. Just literally ice the guy up until the next game to try and keep him fit. He went off
like a sort of David Blaine type stunt where he just kind of like making him stay in an ice cube. All right, though, stay in there, Cole.
Yeah, literally, we need to just keep him fit. I think he's going to be one of those key players. And he's one of those because he's quite boring, so to speak. He's not very loud. He's not very all the flicks and tricks. Some people don't appreciate him, but he's one of those you don't know what you've got until he's gone, sort of thing.
So true. Yeah, that's really interesting. What do you make of Stevenage's season so far? And do you think that are you almost a little bit envious of how efficient they've been in certain respects?
Yes and no. So I like to see him do well. I'm a massive fan of Luke Norris's. I think he was brilliant for us, and I think we played him in the wrong way sometimes around him. And I'm glad to see he's doing well up at Stevenage. Obviously, with the troubles they've had and how they pulled themselves out, it should be a sign to any club that it's doable if you get the right recruitment and the right players. And I like seeing it. I don't mind seeing him do well, but I'd rather he didn't go up because it's quite a close away game. It's a good little away game to go to, and the fans are always a good bunch of lads and stuff like that. So, I'm kind of torn both ways. I'm glad Luke's doing well there, and obviously you guys are on the way up. But I don't want to travel any further. I have to if we get away games. It'd be nice if we did stay down. If we stay up, that is.
What about Colchester, Matt? Would you miss Colchester as an away day if you were to get promoted?
Yeah, I quite like it. Mecca, the words really. It's quite local, and actually more local for myself because I kind of live near Buntingford, which is kind of more on the way to Colchester. So I'd be I'd miss it next season. I just have to say actually, again, it kind of hits me every time speaks about us possibly going up. It just doesn't feel real. It's just like, what is going on? Like someone's sitting here going, I don't want them to go up. I'm like, oh my word, this is a bit of a change from what we're normally used to, crikey. But it's a nice little away day, really. I like parking in the park and ride, walking rounds. I will say something though about the crowd. It was so hot in the away end yesterday. I don't know if you could see the sun on it. Oh my God. So we were sitting there and it was just, I was burning. I caught the sun. I was more red than this yesterday. We'd missed it, of course. But I honestly, I think they'll stay up. I think, look, we've been in the position before. You've got to make sure that you win your home games and pick up points at home. And if you're picking up points at home, you give yourself a foundation to play well and get the job done. So I think they'll be fine. I think they'll stay up. If we don't go up, it'll be nice to go back there next season.
Yeah, for sure. What are your memories, Si, of rivalries with Stevenage? Because if I'm not mistaken, they beat you something like 6-1 in the first Football League meeting. And then after that, you had quite a good record against them.
Yeah, it's been a bit. I think it's one of those games that's hit and miss. it's strange when we go to their place. If we're playing well, we tend to do badly. If we're playing badly, we tend to do well. It's kind of one of those weird sort of moments if you're not quite sure how it's going to go. I think it was last season, the team we had out last season, we could still be there now, and we probably wouldn't be scoring a goal. We literally threw everything at them last season, could not score for love or money. So, yeah, it's one of those sort of frustrating places to go where form kind of goes out the window a little bit, and for some reason seems to be sort of stuck in a warp or something where reality doesn't really come into any agreement. So it's kind of like, yeah, off we go, let's see how we get on. But again, it's a bit like our place. Parking's quite close there, walk across, food's always good. Any major dramas there, the away end's a decent size. So yeah, it feels like a proper
the away end as well.
No, it's all seated for the away end.
It's all seated, right? Okay.
But it feels like a proper League Two meeting, really. I think Stevenage Colchester.
Yeah. What do you agree with that, Matt?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think it's your bog standard League Two meeting in the division. And again, I think both stadiums are League Two level. I know obviously Colchester's is probably a little bit bigger than ours, but both accessible grounds. I mean, again, our parking, you just park opposite the road as well and walk across, pretty similar to theirs. I will be honest, I had the biggest McDonald's yesterday going, actually. I was just absolutely starving. I was thinking, right, what can I get? And I saw the McDonald's, obviously, from previous years. All right in there, quick McDonald's, round we go. But yeah, no, it would be...
The club paid you to do some advertising there, Matt.
I feel like it. I feel like I need to get in contact.
Yeah, I'll just say other food chains are available. We're not endorsing McDonald's.
It's incredible. I feel like I should start, sending an invoice to the club, really, because it's not just. I wear this everywhere I go. It's just like, do you know what I mean? It's like a part of me now. It's ingrained. So it's like, I feel like sending an invoice to Phil Wallace and go, look, Phil, I got it on 24/7. I need to start getting some profits from this,
Yeah,
But yeah, no, the games over the years have been great. I remember the games you were on about last year, because I remember when we beat them at home 1-0, obviously it's when we were really bad. And I remember we nicked a goal from a penalty and we just didn't have the ball. And it was like, I remember at home, I remember thinking, oh yeah, we're definitely going to lose this. And I remember somehow we won 1-0 and it was like, oh. And then oddly, the away game that we won, and I'm going to link this into the story that I was thinking of yesterday, was the first game that we won under Steve Evans against them away last year. And then that win, the 2-0 win where Luke Norris scored, actually was the game that got us going, and then we eventually stayed up. And I was thinking to myself, when I pulled up yesterday, I remember it was about 6 months ago, and I remember pulling up, and at that time, I mean, we didn't know whether we were going to be up or whether we were going to be a National League club. I remember actually leaving their ground last season, and as I'm leaving, I'm looking at the stadium like that thinking, oh, I wonder if we'll be coming back next season or we'll be going to Dorking. It was like that, right? And I remember pulling up this day. I remember just kind of sitting in the car thinking to myself, God, if someone would have tapped us on the shoulder in April when we came here and won that day to put, one of the games to keep us up, and said, oh, next time you come here, you'll be second, 36 points, through in all the cups, up the top of the table, I'd have literally laughed. Oh God, there is no way that is happening. So yeah, it was good going back yesterday and seeing it and going back up there in top of the league almost.
Well, absolutely. Well, listen, Matt, all the best with the promotion push, and keep up the great work with the Stevenage podcast. And also, Si, hopefully a change of fortunes for the years. This has been the 1-2 show. Thanks to you for watching, and I'll see you again very soon.